Hi, this is Margo. This is Sunday evening, May the 7th, 2023. I hope everyone is safe and doing as well as possible. And another week has passed, and I'd like to welcome everyone to the show tonight. This will be my weekly update that I'll be putting on my YouTube channel. We're going to go over climate-related items and methane and sea ice and earthquakes. And it was kind of a hard week for me, and I know it was hard for a lot of people, but we're here, and just take a look at the what's going on in the environment and how close we are to the end. I do believe that we are in the end times. These times have been prophesied of in the Bible, and I believe that climate collapse can be included in those prophecies if you read it and see the words of Jesus and others. And so as we get closer and closer to the end, everything, we're starting to see things fall apart, not just climate wise, but in society and financially, politically, the whole thing. And if you know that we're in the end times, if you have an attitude of acceptance, that's easier than trying to fight it and think that you're going to fix something, because the only one that can fix anything now is Jesus. So my prayer now every day is, Lord, let your will be done. That's the big thing. And guide me in what you want me to do in these last few days and weeks and hours. So on that note, we're going to start on Climate Reanalyzer. Here we are on maximum temperatures around the planet. We've got, look at these reds up here in the Yukon Territory in northern Canada. That's a lot warmer than it should be there. Then we've got cold air that has come down from the Arctic along the west coast of Canada and U.S. Reno is in there. It's been cold this week and raining, and I don't do well in that kind of weather anymore, and so I'm looking forward to sunshine and warm weather, and I'm afraid it's gonna maybe go from winter to summer, but anyway. And then we've got, heat all the way across the south here. And here are whites in Mexico and Central America. Here's some whites in Colombia in South America. Lots of whites coming across Africa, Saudi Arabia. India is filling back up with whites in Southern Asia, and the white is 40 degrees C or higher, or 104 degrees Fahrenheit or higher. Here's 2-meter temperature anomaly. Here's that spot in northern Canada. See, it's moving into the reds and browns, looking about 18 C higher than normal here. Lots of browns even coming up over the Beaufort Sea and over the Arctic Sea basin, and from Svalbard over to Novaya Zemlya, Greenland, over the Atlantic, and then the eastern part of the U.S. in the Browns. Here's the flat view. We can see the Antarctic has gone down a lot. We've got browns in northwestern Africa, and then all across Europe here in the UK, and here in Russia, southern Russia. This is Kazakhstan here. It's just above that, where it's into about the same red zone that Canada has, and then blues right next to all of these browns. Here's our overview. Worldwide, we're up 0.53 C, higher than normal. The northern hemisphere is up 0.73 C. The Arctic is up 2.15 C. The Antarctic is down 1.53 C. Southern hemisphere is up 0.34 C. And the tropics are up 0.68 C. So here, even with a lot of colder temperatures, we're still seeing the Arctic over 2 C higher than normal. And the Antarctic is in the negative. It's lower than normal now. Here's precipitation and clouds. The green is rain, and we can see rain coming up. It looks like to the coast of Greenland and coming up on Iceland and further north to Norway, and then snow beyond that. And National Snow and Ice Data Center has not yet started to chart the Greenland ice melt. I look every day, and normally it's up by they start tracking it first part of April every year. It goes through the summer and the fall for the northern hemisphere, but nothing yet. But you know, you can imagine with rain coming up to the coastline of Greenland that even if it's not raining exactly on Greenland, you've got water vapor coming over, and warmer temperatures coming over the ice sheet, and there's no doubt there's melting going on. Here we have big system in the U.S. from looks like Illinois all the way up to Canada, and then North Texas. Here's the flat view. Look at this. I was wanting to show y'all. You see this long line? This is all one system from basically the edge of the Gulf of Mexico all the way across the Atlantic. And that's quite visible here on NASA Worldview. See? Look at that. That's all one big long atmospheric river, and then it curls around. And this is not the first one like this. There was another one like this earlier in the week. So to have one that long, you know, I think it's a sign. Alright, now here are the jet pieces. See, look at this big loop coming up. That's that high pressure system. Well, it says low pressure, but normally when it's warmer than normal, that's high pressure. So I don't know why that's low pressure anyway. Then there's cold air sweeping down from the Arctic around here, and then below this wave there's a twin wave below that, and then it's warmer than normal down there. Here's our flat view. And see, this is kind of a constant here just above the equator in the Pacific, and then see it splits in the middle of the Pacific. One goes south, the other goes north, and then it splits again over the Atlantic, and then this one ends up going across North Africa, and then a straight line. And right now it's not a straight line all the way across the Pacific, but you know, we've seen it like that. It's almost. Here's sea ice and snow cover today. It's still in high melt here in the Bering Sea. There's a big hole there, and the extent is kind of holding. It's been melting a tiny bit on the extent, but mainly it's thinning out. The ice is losing its integrity. And sea surface temperature anomaly, this is for yesterday. We still have our browns here in the North Atlantic and the Barents Sea next to blues, and browns still around Greenland, Iceland, UK. And here, this is like a major hotspot avenue just off the coast of Africa in Spain. This is in the Atlantic. All of the Atlantic, well, pretty much is in some shade of brown, except for these blues right here. Here the Mediterranean on the west end is turning brown. We've got some brown coming in the Black Sea and in the Caspian Sea. Here in the Persian Gulf, we've got browns now. It's heating up very quickly. Browns around India. Here's the Pacific view. Here's the Evil Eye just off the coast of Ecuador and Peru. And this is setting up the El Nino. And this is in the red zone, so that's about 5°C higher than normal. And this blob is forming here in the North Pacific. This is where it usually forms, right there. Sometimes we'll see a twin blob here in the South Pacific. When it gets red, I call it the Evil Eye. Now we'll go to the NOAA methane data, and we're looking at Saturday the 6th for the Met-B satellite in the morning, 1000 millibar level. The mean or average was 1,839 parts per billion. The high reading was 2144. In the afternoon, the mean was 1838. The high reading was 2045. On the Met-C satellite in the morning, the mean was 1844. The high reading was 2100. And in the afternoon, the mean was 1844, and the high reading was 2091. Here's our weekly chart for 1000 millibar level, and the 6th averaged out to be 1841.25, and giving us a very slight increase this week of 0.25, and there's the line there where it's going up. Let's see what happened this week. So last week, on Saturday, we ended at 1841.0. The 30th averaged out to be 1840.5, decrease of 0.5. First, no change. Second, it averaged out to be 80.40, decrease of 0.5. Third, no change. Fourth, came out to be 1840.5. That's an increase of 0.5. Then the fifth averaged out to be 1841.25, increase of 0.75. And sixth, no change, 1841.25, giving us this this overall increase this week of 0.25. Now I know, it's looking kind of slow on methane, but we've had cooler temperatures overall worldwide, and once things heat up, I think it's going to be going straight up. That's my thought. Where are we? Okay, moving on to the 487 millibar level. Met-B satellite in the morning. The mean was 1912. The high reading was 2413. In the afternoon, the mean was 1912. The high reading was 2477. On the Met-C in the morning, the mean was 1882. The high reading was 2355. And in the afternoon, the mean was 1879. The high reading was 2359. 95. 2395. So here's our weekly chart for 487 millibar level, and the 6th averaged out to be 1896.5, giving us a slight overall decrease this week of 0.25. And we can see this dot right here just barely going down. So in our show last Sunday, we ended with the Saturday data of the 29th at 1896.75. On the 30th, averaged out to be 1895.5, a decrease of 1.25. First, no change. Second, 1895.25, decrease of 0.25. Third, no change. Fourth, the average was 1896.0, increase of 0.75. Fifth, no change. And sixth, average was 1896.5, and that's an increase of 0.5 over the day before. But we're at an overall decrease of 0.25 this week. And you can see we only had 2 days of increase and then 3 days of no change. So it was just kind of hovering around this 1895, 0.25, 0.5, that arena. So there's that. Now we'll look at the CAMS methane data. Here are our methane forecasts. Our base time and valid time are both Saturday, May 6th. We're starting on the Arctic area and surface level. So the data is for Saturday, and the forecast period is Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Here it's streaming up from the UK and the North Sea, and then it's coming back to life over the Scandinavian region, and here in the interior of Russia the main activity is right here south of Norilsk. We still have lower readings of the greens for the majority of Russia, and also for a lot of China. Koptovik is still going off. We're starting to see higher readings here in southern Alaska. That's in the Anchorage region. Look at that. Here, let's go back. This is from yesterday. See, that's a lot of methane right there. So that dark range you can see here, and it is a range between 2160 and 10,000 parts per billion. So that's quite a range. Can be anything in there. And so let's go some more. Here's North Dakota hemorrhaging. This kind of upper Midwest and east part of the U.S. And that's not looking good. That's, after it rains, it turns real blobby. California, northern and southern California, both are high. Here's West Texas. See, Texas and the Gulf Coast, that's calmed down quite a bit. Now we'll go to the North Pole view. Here we can see most of the northern hemisphere. See, look at UK filling up, and Germany. Persian Gulf is filling up and spilling over. Here's India, China. See the wave moving out. That's high methane. So it looks like it's filling back up in China. Look at this wave coming off of the U.S. and Canada, North America really, and then more waves coming off of Russia. Now we'll go to the global view. We just have a couple of little spots of the navy blue left, and that navy blue is this color here, and that is 1820 parts per billion. So the next color up is this light blue. That's at 1840 parts per billion. See the demarcation. It's pretty abrupt between the northern hemisphere and southern hemispheres. Well, especially where the green is. See, that's the main background color for the northern hemisphere, is some shade of green. Okay, now 500 HPA. See, it's breaking up a little bit in the Arctic region, and the darker readings, see here, are drifting further south, and it's because the season's changing, and we've got a lower spot, a little oval spot over the Laptev Sea. And then total column. And here, China's the winner. Second close is India. And then all these reds. Now, here's some more things from CAMS. Here's sulfur dioxide today, worldwide. Look at this. This is, sometimes we do see it here around the Australia region, or a little further south along the tectonic plate line. And but the biggest release is here in Mexico with Popocatépetl. I think Fuego is going off, but you can see the higher readings kind of spreading out over the northern hemisphere now. We don't have any blues for northern hemisphere. Here's some blues over the Antarctic, and blue-green sea over the Indian Ocean. That's an increase, definitely. Here's 500 HPA, and so here, just south of Australia, see it shooting up to halfway up in the atmosphere there. Here's our biggest reading from Mexico. And also another anomalous thing is this almost a pure circle pattern of sulfur dioxide over the mid-Atlantic. I'm thinking that's plate movement, because the tectonic plate line comes right through there. So when an earthquake is in the making, you'll have rocks shifting and moving, and tectonic plates shifting and moving. And in a lot of places, there are sulfur dioxide pockets where it's been trapped under the rock for, thousands, maybe millions of years. And then as movement starts, the rocks shift, and then there's a release of sulfur dioxide, and it's sudden. When that happens, it's sudden, and so that's why you see it going up to 500 HPA. Or if you have tectonic plate movement in general, you can have that. Here's high reading. This is Russia over across there. Here's the Antarctic ozone. Here's our aqua zone over a lot of this western part. Then greens. Anything with a greenish tinge is lower than normal. Green or blue. Here's a break coming up to South America. Here's the Arctic view of the ozone, and we can see that dark stuff is breaking up and shifting to different areas as the season changes. Here's the global view. So here we're seeing ozone heavier further south than what we've been seeing for a while. Here it's thin. That's in Canada, where they've got the warmer air. Okay, I took a couple of earthquake pictures. There were 222 earlier this evening. This is worldwide. Here was a 5-something in Ecuador. And then here, we're looking, this is the Laptev Sea, this is Russia. Here's the Taimyr Peninsula, and here's one just off the coast of the Taimyr Peninsula, and it was a 4.2. It says near the coast of northwestern Sakha, Russia. And this came in today at 2:06 a.m. Pacific time. So another Arctic earthquake. We've had Arctic earthquakes like I think for 4 days in a row now. 3 or 4 days. And this red line is the tectonic plate line. It runs through. And there's that. And sea ice. Time for sea ice. Here's the Navy model. U.S. Navy for Arctic sea ice thickness. Was updated to today. And so here's this hole in the Bering Sea. Got a little red here off the coast of Russia. This aqua is getting darker, and see here in the Laptev Sea it's giving way to the navy blue, which is the next level down as things are melting. And here in the Kara Sea, we see it's been thickening a little bit to aqua here, also in the Gulf of Ob. Our thickest ice is right here, right along Canada and Greenland. The green represents 3 meters thick, and the bright red is about let's see, 4.5 meters thick, and the dark red is 5 meters thick. Yeah. And so we've got some bright aqua here. This is wherever you see the bright aqua, you've got thicker sea ice there. Here's the 30-day animation. The data is for today and forecast period. Goes out to next Sunday. Now watch here. See the darkening, and then the dark aqua gives way to the dark blue, which is about 1.25 meters thick. So like I said, we're mainly seeing thinning and starting deterioration of the ice. Here's the Beaufort Sea ice thickness. Here's our green, 3 meter along Canada, and then this dark is the highest reading. And that's 5 meters thick. Then some bright red. It still, some of it still appears to be thickening a little bit, like this green spot and this green spot, both in the Beaufort Sea. Here, along the Canadian coastline, it's pulled away because the ice drift. Eventually it'll go back, unless that's all melted already, in which case it won't. Here the data goes back 3 weeks, and the forecast goes out to next Sunday again. And so we're seeing this thicker ice flowing along the Canada coastline, and now watch, see how it pulls away. Now watch. See? Did you see the little hump there? So there's that. Here's the Antarctic sea ice thickness. And so we're getting a little regrowth here on the north end. Tiny fringe ice coming in around these other coastlines. The Ross Sea is frozen and thickening. This west, off the west coast, is thickening, and here we've got extent coming back, and here in the Weddell Sea you've got the thickest ice here just along the western peninsula. So it's not much when you're comparing humongous bodies of water. It's really not much of 2 meters thick or more. Here's the animated can't think 30-day animation, that's right. So they're showing a lot of regrowth here in the Weddell Sea this week. Watch here, see? I'd say that's the majority of the regrowth. Here's National Snow and Ice Data Center for yesterday, May. Arctic sea ice concentration. So let's zoom in. And the dark blues, or any shade of blue, at this time now it's showing melting. Look at how this Greenland ice is melting. Well, if you've been getting rain up there, you know, that's a no-brainer. And blue and dark blue here around Franz Josef Land and Svalbard, and then some blue here in the Laptev Sea, and here next to the East Siberian Islands. Here's the extent chart. This blue line is this year. We're still just beneath the dotted line, which was 2012. Slow going, but it'll speed up. Here's the Antarctic regrowth. See this big area next to the brown line, and this is the Weddell Sea. Here's the regrowth for the extent. See, well under last year. That's all of those. Okay, now let's go on to NASA Worldview. we're not even going to bother with the Antarctic. It's all in the dark now. Here's this sea ice concentration layer. See all the pinks coming in over the Arctic, and anything that's not white, it means it's either melting or freezing, and we can assume that most of it is in the melting stage right now. Here's Baffin Bay. So you've got melting on either end there, and so there's some more coming down along Canada. So let's just go on in. Here's our satellite view, no clouds area. Although we're not really seeing anything here in the Lincoln Sea. I think there's a layer, a camouflage layer that they can just slap on a certain area if they don't want you to see it. But this area has been thinning down, and a lot of open water actually, and during the winter it didn't ever close up completely. Here's the nearest strait, same thing. We're not sure what's there. Here's the opening out into the Baffin Bay. See, that's a lot of open water there. And see, here's some thin ice. Here's the ice down here, and you can see open water in between a lot of these ice pieces. So those leads go first before anything else really goes. I mean, the other stuff can be thinning, but as far as disintegrating, the leads do that. LEADS. Okay, here's the rainstorm coming up to Greenland today. And here's some more ice. Or this is Greenland, yeah. Ice on the east side. Let's see. Can't see much there. Let's see. Svalbard. And we've got some ripples in the clouds there. It's open on the west side here. And let's see, this is Franz Josef Land. Here's open water on the east side. Here's Novaya Zemlya. And here's the Kara Sea. We're just starting to see some cracking going on here. And then here's Franz Josef Land. Here's open water. Okay. If we could look through their camouflage layer, we would see a lot of open water there. See, here's yesterday. This is more accurate. See, it's ice cubes and open water and little fringe ice. Here it is today. Okay, here's the LATFC. All of this under a lot of clouds today. Let's see, yesterday. Here is from the 5th. Look how fast this is melting. Look at this. Alright, I got a little lost there. So this is the North Kara Sea. Here's Severnaya Zemlya. Here's the Vovolov ice cap, and it's too cloudy to really see the ice pouring into the ocean. There's the 5th, or 6th. Here we are today. See, we can't see it really, but there is, see, a lot of open water there. Here's Komsomolets. We have some open water down here. And here's the LATFC. I got confused a while ago, and that was the Kara Sea and the Yamal Peninsula. So here, see, it's melting right around the coastline here. Here's New Siberian Islands. Here's open water. And not much happening here. Let's go here to the Bering Strait and look at that. Yeah, it's opening up really fast here. See the dark? That's water. Look at yesterday. That's a view, isn't it? So we have just wispy ice, and then larger pieces or thicker pieces. So, and then here it's melting as we're moving into the Chukchi Sea, and here's the Beaufort Sea. You can see these cracks and see some dots. That's where it's melting in between the big areas, and see, you can make it out, the water underneath there. And here's Canada. See, open there, then around. Oh boy, I am so tired. That's not Canada. Sorry. I've kind of fallen asleep. This is Alaska. But this is open water around the coast. And see these big leads opening up. Here's the Beaufort Sea. Here's Canada down here. Here's some open water. And see, got our cracks here. And here's Ellesmere Island. We're back to where we started from here. And look at all this cracking going on the east side, east of the North Pole. And if you'll recall, last year it was melting at the North Pole early in the season, early in the summer, and there were areas very close to the North Pole where it was melting very early on. So there's that. Now we'll go to earthquakes, and there are 226 right now, and we saw that one in the Lactav Sea. We've got 5s and 4s all around this ring of fire. Let's go 7 days, all magnitudes. For the week, there have been 2,106 all magnitudes. We've had some Arctic earthquakes. And there were 2 here at Iceland. That was on the 2nd. And then if we come across, look, here's one. I missed this when it showed up this week. Here's one off the coast of Alaska, 1.4, near Koktovik. And here's one next to the Bering Strait, 3.7. Here's another one, Russia, 2.7, Lavrentia. And you can see it's just a traffic jam of earthquakes. We had here here was a 6.2 near the west coast of Honshu, Japan. This was on the 4th. See, they're all along all the lines here. Here's an unusual one here in the Lake Baikal. See, right on the shoreline. 4.3. This is Russia. Lots of movement here along the west coast of South America. Now here's some plate movement, I'd say, down here in the South Pacific. And see all these dots all along. And in the U.S., I'll show Texas. Just in Texas, like from Midland over, west, we've got 32 here this week. These are 2s. 2.9. That's the largest one. We had 2 or 3 here on the line between Colorado and New Mexico. There were 3 here this week. 3.3, 3.4, and 3.5. Let's see. We're not going to pay too much attention to that. And see, here's one at the base of the Juan de Fuca Plate, 3.0. Okay, what happened in Yellowstone this week? Look at how they're dotted out. Now that's some serious hiking to be going on those places. Yellowstone, right around it, they had 8 this week. And it looks like 2.3 was the largest. So that's my report for tonight. And we'll bring things back to a spiritual perspective now. We're continuing to hear about Job and the afflictions he has as Satan is testing him. Job chapter 30. But now they that are younger than I have me in derision, whose fathers I would have disdained to have set with the dogs of my flock. Yes, whereto might the strength of their hands profit me, in whom old age was perished. For want and famine they were solitary, fleeing into the wilderness in former time, desolate and waste, who cut up mallows by the bushes, and juniper roots for their meat. And they were driven forth from among men, they cried after them as after a thief, to dwell in the cliffs of the valleys, in caves of the earth, and in the rocks. Among the badges they brayed, under the nettles they were gathered together. They were children of fools, yea, children of base men. They were viler than the earth, and now am I their song, yea, I am their byword. They abhor me, they flee far from me, and spare not to spit in my face, because he hath loosed my cord, and afflicted too. They have also let loose the bridle before them. Upon my right hand rise the youth, they perish away my feet. And they raise up against me the ways of their destruction. They mar my path, they set forth my calamity. They have no helper. They came upon me as a wide breaking in of waters. In the desolation they rolled themselves upon me. Terrors are turned upon me. They pursue my soul in the wind. and my welfare passeth away as a cloud. And now my soul is poured out upon me. The days of affliction have taken hold upon me. My bones are pierced to me in the night season, and my sinews take no rest. But the great force of my disease is my garment changed. It bindeth me about as the collar of my coat. He hath cast me into the mire, and I am become like dust and ashes. I cry unto thee, and thou dost not hear me. I stand up, and thou regardest me not. Thou art become cruel to me. With thy strong hand thou opposest thyself against me. Thou liftest me up to the wind. Thou causest me to rise upon it, and dissolvest my substance. For I know that thou wilt bring me to death, and to the house appointed for all living. Howbeit he will not stretch out his hand to the grave, though they cry in his destruction. Did I weep for him that I was in trouble? Was not my soul grieved for the poor? When I looked for good, then evil came unto me, and when I waited for light, there came darkness. My bowels boiled and rested not. The days of affliction prevented me. I went mourning without the sun. I stood up, and I cried in the congregation. I'm a brother to dragons and a companion to owls. My skin is black upon me, and my bones are burnt with heat. My harp also is turned to mourning, and my organ into the voice of them that weep. Job chapter 30. Yeah, he suffered greatly, and he never turned his back on God, though. He never gave up faith. He always believed in him, no matter what happened. We need to have that kind of faith. We really do, especially in what's coming. So I hope everyone has a good week. I love you all, and I'm praying for you. And until next time, God bless you. Go in peace, and I will talk to you soon. Good night.